My phone goes. I'm eating watermelon right now. You know. Shit. I just realized that I'm black and I'm eating watermelon. Alright. This is a tier list, a weapon tier list from GPO Update 8. I'm not trying to waste y'all's time like I did in that intro, so we're just gonna get straight into it. First things first, I'm gonna put these weapons right here. I think there was one more. While I search for it, let me explain to you guys why these two weapons are just so unimaginably bad. It's mainly due to the fact that actually no, I'm gonna put Cupid 1 in D tier and Inferno Rocket Blade in an E tier. Mainly due to the fact that Inferno Rocket Blade is okay if it wasn't for the fact that it was absolutely useless, because the M1s are bad, the damage is pretty mediocre, the M1s are slow, right? The E is pretty shitty because all you can do is just point your stick at the ground and then mines come up, which are very easy to dodge. The R scales off of gun. I think that should tell you why the weapon is bad already. Oh, here's the other weapon. But yeah, this weapon is trash. This weapon's even worse. Well, not even worse. These are pretty much equal in terms of shit. This is just a more like refined form of shit, if y'all understand what I'm saying. Festival Shield is also one of those weapons that you just don't need to use at all. There's no need for these weapons to exist in the game. Everyone would be better off if these weapons just never existed. No one would even care. No one would care. The E is bad. The M1s feel clunky. The M1s feel slow. What else we got? The R is the only good move in its kit, and that's not really saying much. The E doesn't even combo extend. These two weapons are the Down syndrome kids of GPO. No one would care about them. Anyways, we're gonna skip on. Cupid 1, I only put above these weapons because it still has a pretty decent use. And that is in PvE. You can use it in the Colosseum, you can use it in dungeons if you're even weird enough to still do them, like I was. And we also got Law, the ladder strat, which you can use to block break them, which is pretty good. But yeah, besides that, Cupid 1 is shit. M1s are shit. Moves are shit, besides the R, obviously, for PvE. So yeah, no further explanation. Yeah, needed. Golden Hook, this is like a D. Same thing, same reasons, and also due to the fact that the weapon was nerfed. If you guys didn't know, you could have used E and R at the same time, and you would be doing very, very good damage. But now they patched that, so now you can only use E if you're not using Impale, which basically nerfed the weapon into the ground. Because that was what Golden Hook was mainly known for and used for. So now that that's gone, no one ever uses it. And for good reason. The M1s are shit. M1s are not slow, but they lack range, which is the biggest thing. Even with Suna, it's still pretty mid. You know, you're just draining stamina and the damage isn't that great either. Even less than the actual Impale, I think. And it's just overall, just a really underwhelming weapon. No one would even want to use it. There's so many better options. Iceborne Rapier. I mean, not rapier, daggers. From what I've seen, I think the daggers are actually pretty. Actually, these are ordered, by the way, so I forgot about this. So I put this above this, and you know, this doesn't really matter. But okay, anyways, I put Iceborne daggers in C because from what I've seen, it isn't anything crazy. The range is kind of lacking, but it makes up for it with its moves. I think one of the moves is a really good AOE move. I haven't used these weapons yet since I haven't really been playing BR because fuck that game mode. From what I've seen, I think Iceborne daggers, at least, are pretty decent. They aren't good, but they aren't bad either. And that's what C tier is mainly about to consist of. It's just going to be weapons that aren't bad, but aren't bad enough to be put any lower than C. In terms of Gravity Cane, I put this in B. I think Gravity Cane is a very underrated weapon because it's not a bad weapon at all. And actually, I think it's pretty good. It offers everything that you'd want from a weapon. Like, good M1 speed, good M1 damage, good moves. It has a pretty decent barrage move. It's buffed with Zushi, which the buff is pretty significant. It pulls them in. The R is also pretty long range. It does a decent amount of damage. You can also combo extend off of the E as well, which is also a big plus. So yeah, if you use this weapon correctly, it is by no means bad. Because I don't see why it would be bad. It's just not used as much anymore, I guess. I might as well just not skip this weapon. I don't really know how to rank this weapon because I heard it was broken. But if it wasn't broken, I would probably put it maybe in C. The R is alright. You can't really combo extend off of it. It doesn't really do any crazy damage. The E is good, but that's all it is. It's just a move that hits. It doesn't really do anything outside of just hits them. Doesn't combo extend or anything like that. It's pretty fast, you know. I think it has hyper armor as well. So, yeah, I think that's something to look forward to. But besides that, I think the M1s are fine. The M1 damage is decent. But yeah, this weapon doesn't really stand out to me in any way or any capacity. So, flowers. I'm only putting it in C because the R is what really hard carries it. But I would definitely put it in the bottom of C because besides, actually, you know what? Pretty strong opinion, but D. I'm taking rarity into account as well when we're talking about this, right? Because flowers are still hella hard to get your hands on because they just cost so much because they're so valued in the trading community. So if you're not a player with a good amount of trading leverage or a good amount of like item leverage in your inventory, it might be very difficult to get your hands on this. And, you know, are bad at trading or don't know values, it's going to be very difficult, which is why, you know, I got to take that into account as well. With that aside, the M1 scaling is what really gets me because it doesn't do any significant damage. The only reason why you'd use this weapon is for the R, because it's just a free combo extender with a good amount of AoE. You only use this with a fist style. That's the sole purpose of this weapon. So it's a one-trick pony, in other words. Outside of its R, it's really mediocre, which is why I can't put it any higher than C, because especially the accessibility factor, I just can't put it any higher. So yeah, y'all might flame me for this one, but that's just my honest opinion. Firework Lancer, I think this is a pretty good weapon. This is definitely going to be a high B once we get to it. Firework Lancer is also one of those weapons that is good all around, you know? It has good range, good PvP capabilities, you know? It has great damage, has a great E, especially if you're facing a bad player, you know? It's free damage. The R is also pretty good, especially if you're getting people away. You can't block it. It's also good, decent mobility. It's also great for BR, by the way, because you can just abuse the zone by sending people out of it. It's a good backup to have. So, I mean, yeah, besides the little bit of accessibility issues this weapon has, I mean, it's not that hard to get your hands on, let's face it. So, overall, I think this is a really, really good weapon to get your hands on as a start if you really want to look for like a good, unobtainable PvP weapon. Of course, I'm going to get to better options later in the video, but Firework Lancer is just one of those weapons that I personally like and that I personally think is a really, really suitable weapon for any player. Bicento is also a B, and I consider it above Gravity Cannon in the middle of these two. Bicento has good M1 damage. It has good range, really good range actually. It's one of the longest weapons in the game, but it doesn't really have amazing moves, let's just say that. The R just sends people away, making it impossible to combo extend off of it. The E got buffed, but it didn't really make any significant changes because all it does is that it just increases the end stun, but the startup is still shit, which means that you can't confirm it into anything. It's not true, even if you up-tilt into it. If they gave it hyper armor, then maybe I'd understand it, but yeah, no. Besides that, the weapon doesn't deserve to go any higher. It's not a bad weapon, but it has a lot of potential that's been missed out, especially in this update. I think you made the wrong buff. I think you should have made maybe 2 buffs instead of 1. Increase or decrease the startup and just increase the end stun, and this would have easily been an A tier weapon by far. In terms of Eagle Hammer though, ooh yeah, in my opinion, although it did get gutted, it's still a good weapon. Remember guys, just because you don't see people using it does not mean it's not good. Keep that in mind when we're talking about these weapons. If you don't see them, that's just because there are other weapons that overshadow it. That's the word I like to use. Because Eagle Hammer, in all aspects of the word, is a great weapon. Besides its accessibility, which is questionable, I still put it above everything else because the M1 damage is pretty good, the range is alright, the speed could be a lot better, but if you have Make, you can make up for that. The E is great for dealing with people who like to hold block, and the R has a true combo. You can up-tilt in the R. I think this weapon is just a genuinely good weapon, even better than Firework Lancer, because it is kind of harder to get, but if you do end up getting it, it's not a bad option to use. So yeah, I'll leave it up in B. I might change that later, who knows. But I'm confident with my placements right now. In terms of Crab Cutlass, put it in C. I don't really have much to say about this weapon. It got nerfed. Now it's pretty mid. I don't really have much to say about this weapon, to be honest with you. The R is fine. You know, E's okay. The launch is block break still, so I guess that's fine. M1s are fine. Everything about it is this is just the definition of an average weapon. There's nothing that stands out. Scissors. Scissors, same thing. If you have Kage, it can be decent. If not, then it really isn't that great. I don't really have much to say about this weapon either. I guess it has decent range. M1's, it's a pretty cool looking weapon, I'll say that. But, you know, cool looks isn't really everything. Just look at, you know, this hunky junk right here. But yeah, I don't want to elaborate further since it's just going to be a waste of time. You already know. Pipe, in my opinion, I think that Pipe is better than Bicento. I think it's in the middle. It's in the middle. Pipe is definitely not a bad weapon. We're not speaking about BR here. I do believe it's a good weapon. That's all I can say. R is fine. E can wrap around, block, which is crazy. The R can block brick, and on top of that, it has a true combo. Same thing for Elo Hammer. It's actually these two weapons are very similar to each other now that I really take time to consider that. But I still consider Elo just to be a tad bit better, just due to the fact they can do a lot more damage. So yeah, overall, I think Pipe deserves to be in B, especially if you pair it with Mera as well, you know? I don't have any issues using it, but once again, there are better options. Like this, Cupid Battle Axe. Oh my god, this weapon is so fucking underrated. This is the definition of an underrated weapon. I don't see people using this weapon enough. This weapon is good. It has a good E, a good R. That combo extend it's really easy to use, has good range, a good M1 damage, and good M1 speed for a heavy weapon. What more could you want from a weapon? This weapon is the literal definition of a weapon that you'd want. A literal E as a block breaker that's really fast, in my opinion, and an R that's really easy to land, as long as you white walk. Like, what the hell, dude? I don't see why people are using this weapon more. Festival Lancer, arguably the best weapon out of the B tier, I think, for me so far, because of the fact that the R is just what carries it so hard. Actually, you know, I was gonna hold on. The R is what carries it so hard because the R is just so good for combo extending. It block breaks, the range is just magnetic, and overall, a viable weapon to use, especially with a fist style. Now, if you don't have a fist style and you're just using this weapon on its own, it's not that great in my opinion. It's the same issue I have with Festival Shield. It doesn't feel very good to use. It feels very clunky. I don't really know how to describe it. You guys would have to use the weapon to actually understand for yourselves. I do think that it does go below Elo though, because it is same reason for Flowers. It is a one-trick pony. It does have good M1 damage and good range to make up for it, but the E is really bad. Practically no use, but I still put it in B because the R is just so good. Oh my god. Shisui, honestly, I put this weapon almost same place, because Shisui is also one of those weapons that are really underrated for some reason, but it's not a bad option to use. Good M1 damage, good speed, good E, good R block breaks, E's really fast, has barely any startup laggers, shit like that. All around, great weapon, pretty cool to use, plus you can use it with 2SS if you're into that. I don't really have much more to say about Shisui, to be honest with you. Golden Pole, without Mink, this is D, or maybe, okay, definitely not D. C, if it has Mink, A. But we're just gonna compensate and put it in B as just a middle ground. With Mink, it's amazing. It stuns, which means you can get people into combos much easier. The E, the R, both combo extend if you do it correctly. It has a counter that can combo extend with it, of course, if you have a Mink. Like, what more could you ask for from a weapon? You know, and it's not even that hard to get either. It's a rare drop, so it shouldn't be worth that much, right? Now, if you don't have Mink, this weapon is automatically down to C tier because all of its moves instantly kind of go in the gutter, besides its counter, I guess, because none of the moves can extend without the stun, unless you have Goro. That's why I put it in B, because it's kind of a fine middle ground. If you have Mink or Goro, A. If you don't, then C. The weapon really lacks otherwise. Now, Kiribachi, also an A. Reason being that it is also very accessible to most players. The E is literally just so good to use. It feels so satisfying when you use it. Oh my god. But that's just personal preference. In actuality, this weapon is just so viable for any situation concerning PvP, because it has a great E, which can combo extend, by the way. Has good M1s, good speed. What else we got? The R is crazy. It can combo extend if the person hits you right as you're like releasing it. it's just a really good weapon to pick up and play. I mean, any player could probably use this weapon and be pretty decent at it with enough time and practice, which is why I like, you know, to put it in A tier. I think it deserves it. I think y'all can agree. Hollow's Fang, C. I put it in C just due to the fact that it is usable, but it severely lacks in range and damage, at least in the M1s. With the logic that I like to apply behind this weapon is that why would I play a weapon that I have to invest more in but get less return? Meanwhile, I could use something like maybe Elo Hammer or Kirabachi even, by the way, which is not even a limited weapon like this one is, and get so much more use out of it. That's my whole logic. Yes, the E is nice. The R is a block breaker and can combo extend, but does that? It's the same thing for Kirabachi, right? Why would you use this weapon when you could just use this one, which is infinitely better and does more damage? It doesn't have very good M1 scaling, and that's one of my main issues, and also doesn't have very good range. And in this current meta, I think that's what matters the most. So with that being said, I just don't see myself putting it above. I will put it above all these other weapons too. Actually, no. I will put it above these two because I think that it is a pretty fun weapon to use. I will admit that. Alrighty, next one up is CC, and I am kind of biased for this weapon, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna cloud my judgment. Gotta put it in top of C. Reason being, I think you guys might be able to see where I'm coming from if I just explain this. This weapon, on top of the fact that it doesn't have great moves, for what it's worth, it's just not worth it. With CC, you gotta pay a left testicle and maybe your right just to get your hands on it. And for what you're getting, is it really worth it? What you're getting is a heal move and an R move that's easily PBable as long as you got enough practice and doesn't even have a proper extender, although it does block break. Is that really worth it for a weapon that might cost 3 all-seeing eyes and maybe some other shit? I think you guys can, you know, answer that question for me, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. I am biased for this weapon, but I have to be reasonable here and remain unbiased. So, with that being said, I gotta move on to the better weapon to use your hard-earned testicles on. Kikoku. Instant S tier. This weapon is not only much cheaper than CC, it is infinitely more versatile, especially if you eat the Ope Ope no Mi. Now, without Ope, this weapon is still so damn good on its own. 2 combo extenders, one of which is more iffy than the other, but still can combo extend. Easy as hell to land. Great range, one of them freaking block breaks for God's sakes. Has hyper armor, which means you can bait it. It's kind of like Kirabachi R in a sense, if you guys really think about it, because it's a block break and it literally has hyper armor. Which means that if the opponent hits you, and you guys definitely experienced this before, have you ever hit an opponent that has Kirabachi and you didn't know they were going to R until it was already too late? Because of the fact that their animations were masked? It's the same thing with this weapon, except it's got more moves at its disposal. This is literally just a better version of Kirabachi, in my opinion. Especially if you got the Ope Ope no Mi. In this case, it has 4 moves. I don't know about the moves though, because I haven't used the Ope Ope no Mi with Kikoku yet. With that being said though, I really do think that it just deserves to be an S, because I just don't see why it wouldn't be. Although it's a mythical, would you guys rather have this weapon or CC? Answer that question, and I think you'll see why I'll just put it in S instead of like C or something. Trident, I put Trident in B. Usable, very usable actually, but it's just not as good as it used to be. E is okay. R is not as good as it used to be ever since Afro Dashing was removed. You can still drag jump with it, I guess. White walking with it is a little bit difficult because the hitboxes but it can be really hard to time it down so that way you're just close enough so the R hits. It's lost its, edge, I guess. Get it? Because it's, it's a sword. I can't put it any higher than like something like Bicento, because I think Bicento just makes up for it with its like range and shit like that, when Trident just doesn't really have anything that makes it stand out besides, I guess, its swing speed. But then again, there's another weapon that just excels at swing speed a lot better than that, and that has to be Soul Cane. I put Soul Cane in A tier, high A tier, because of the fact that it's just a more affordable, better version of CC. Think about it like this, guys. Literally, these weapons are so similar, it's not even funny. Both have high swing speed, both are freaking canes for fuck's sake. Both have good range, can catch people in M1s really easily. One of them, but here's the thing, only one of them has a confirmed combo extender if you land a counter, which means you can avoid damage, by the way. Instead of just healing, you can't even heal all that damage off if you have CC. And you have a teleporting block breaker that has good range and can close gaps, and is infinitely more affordable. I don't see why you wouldn't want to take this weapon over CC. It's just a poor man's version of CC, except it's better. So yeah, Knight's Gauntlets, without even thinking, I put that straight in S. Knight's Gauntlets you've seen it so many times, guys, you don't even need an explanation on why this weapon, or these gauntlets are so good. Fast M1 speed, good M1 damage, great scaling, crazy ass scaling actually, scales with strength, synergizes well with fighting styles, very versatile, has a quick E move, both moves block break, has a literal not really transportation, but a really long range R move that block breaks in is hard to react to. I don't see why you'd want to use any other weapon besides this one once you get your hands on it. Especially if you don't have anything like maybe, I don't know, Soul Cane or Kikoku or something like that. This is your best option. This is literally your best option. I'm not even joking. This is your best option in clapping cheeks in the arena. Because a lot of people run this and it's just so broken. Because it takes so little skill, but yet it gives so much return. And that's why it deserves to be an S. Speaking of that, Iceborne Rapier. Have you guys ever fought against an Iceborne Rapier and found it utterly impossible to out M1 them or to interrupt their M1s? I mean, that's what it looked like to me. It felt like I was fighting a freaking Kraken Greatsword user, but swinging at the speed of a freaking... This is literally Knight's Gauntlets, and a slight little tidbit of KKG is sprinkled on there. Because in BR, this shit just goes crazy. But in general, it still goes crazy because it has a confirmed combo extender that freezes the dude, has a freaking R that does crazy amount of damage, and crazy range on top of that, and can combo extend if you hit it at the right time. Fast M1 speed, good M1 scaling, and good damage. Great damage, actually. These are just really, really, really broken weapons. Now, on to the last two. The ones you've been waiting for. Kraken GS. SS+. Y'all remember when this weapon first came out? In fact, do y'all remember the showcase? Do y'all remember watching the first showcase? Because I did. And I thought that back when this weapon first came out, that was going to be bad. I was so wrong. I was so wrong. Even if it got nerfed slightly, it's the go-to weapon for anyone looking to clap some booty cheeks, especially in arena. You see this? You see this in BR? Run. It's gonna one combo the fuck out of you. You see this in arena? Pray you got a Venom or some other fruit that can zone it out. Because this thing is impossible to out M1. Well, not out M1, but outrange and also escape once you're in it. Once you get M1'd by a Kraken Greatsword user, it is extraordinarily difficult to get out. Because, I don't know, they just stick to you like freaking duct tape. Like, this weapon is just so good at catching people in M1s. Not on top of that, the best M1 scaling in the game, by the way. The best range in the game, by the way. Some of the best moves in the game. Literally 2 true moves that are easy as hell to land. I don't even need to tell you guys why. This damn contraption is just the pinnacle, almost, of all GPO weapons. But the pinnacle goes to one weapon and one weapon only. And y'all were waiting for this. Let's get ready to rumble! Cause World Ender's in the house, baby. This fucking piece of abominative crap absolutely shits and smears shit on every other damn weapon in this tier list, Kraken GS included. This weapon, ever since its release, has been one of the most broken weapons in the game and is yet to be nerfed. Meanwhile, you're going to nerf Kraken GS for you? I don't even know why I'm saying his name. I don't even know why he'd be watching my video. But like, you guys understand. If you guys haven't, for any new players in the audience, This weapon has 2 combo extenders, a healing move, and a block break. 2 of the combo extenders have no cooldowns, so you can use them back to back if you really wanted to. You can just pop them. And on top of that, you get a true healing move. Up tilt into Soul Eater. Boom. You get a good chunk of your health back. This weapon is the epitome of unbalanced. It is the literal definition of unbalanced. I never thought this weapon was gonna be that good. I was just proving so wrong by this weapon. Oh, not to mention the fact that this weapon is even worse to fight against in BR. Don't even get me started on how broken it is. Try to out M1 a world ender user. You get caught by that M1 once you're not escaping. You might as well just put your hands off the keyboard and the mouse and give up, because you're not escaping either way. All those factors together are why I believe that this weapon really desperately needs a nerf, firstly, and secondly is the pinnacle of all GPO weapons. This sword, is safe to say, is the literal Escanor of GPO. It's almost undefeated, unbeatable. You know, there's just no argument. But yeah, but with that being said, I think this is gonna be my tier list. I'm pretty confident in it. I might make some slight tweaks, like maybe, for example, putting this above this, but at the same time, I think I'm pretty confident in this tier list, to be honest with you guys. By the way, I just put this here. This is Bazooka and Bourbon Bazooka, by the way. You know, this is just we don't need to talk about this. I just put Katani here because you kind of need 1SS or 2SS to do anything with them, so it's unfair to rank them just by themselves. So yeah, but yeah, that's gonna be my tier list. Remember, if y'all have any objections, I would actually love to hear y'all's opinion on this tier list, because I didn't try very hard, but I tried my best, you know, to really, you know, just try to build or put together a good tier list, because I haven't really seen a lot of weapon tier lists for this update specifically. So if I didn't cook, just let me know, you know, and yeah, I think that's about it. Make sure y'all have a good day, and peace.